Hi again, and thank you so much for your patience. Good things come to those who wait. I'm Sarah Montross, Chief Curator here at Decordova, and thank you so much for joining us this evening. With honor and excitement, we welcome you to tonight's performance by Abilities Dance Boston. Abilities Dance, founded in 2017, brings together dancers with and without disabilities to disrupt outdated ableist beliefs and spread messages of inclusion through dance. This evening's performance debuts an original commission inspired by our current exhibitions, New Formations and Downstream, on view until mid-March. Through contemporary photography, video, and painting, New Formations features human bodies in powerful, athletic performance, ecstatic expressions of dance and collective procession. And Downstream, shown upstairs, examines through photography and video inequities of water access. Several months ago, we shared with Abilities Dance Executive Director Elise Patterson materials and images about the show, and I'm so thrilled that we can now witness how the dancers will translate the art from on our walls through the movements of their bodies. Contemporary art and dance often hold space for telling truths about society's inequities, yet also generate transcendent experiences that pull us into states of awe and reverie. I imagine tonight's performance will offer this dual language of truth-telling and transcendence. At Decordova and across all trustees' properties, we aspire to make all our spaces inclusive and welcoming for visitors of all backgrounds and abilities. Crucial community partners like Ability Dance lead us forward in promoting awareness and dialogue across the intersections of race, gender, and disability. There are several people I'd like to acknowledge who've made tonight's event possible. First and foremost, Elise Patterson, Executive Director of Abilities Dance, and each of the dancers. Thank you so much for your time, vision, and spirit. To our team at Decordova, I thank Sky Murray, Emily Soleil, Sarah Beyer, Sarah Brockway, and Pilar Garo, and especially to our incredible visitor services team led by Joshua Taylor. I also extend my gratitude to Terry Gibson, our CART provider for real-time translation services, and Jenek Jasik, our ASL interpreter. And so now please let me introduce and have a warm welcome to Elise Patterson, who will offer some introduction. Thank you for coming this evening.
Thank you for having us, and hello! My name is Elise. I'm so thrilled to bring this commission to life with you all today in person and later virtually for those audiences as well. We really wanted to take the themes of both of those exhibitions, especially with New Formations, where we're already thinking about how we're reforming diverse bodies into what it means to be dancers, what it means to be athletic, what it means to have powerful bodies in motion, and also powerful, diverse voices in not just dancers, but in leadership and overall. And so we really connected with the various themes that we'll present tonight, and I'll break down some of the pieces that inspired each of these pieces and why, and how we interpreted that through movement and music. All the music you'll hear tonight is composed by our composer, Robert Gross. So we're really thrilled to be able to bring music that is custom to the movement and really accentuates the movement in an original, unique way. We also have, if you're new to this, audio descriptions, which are words that explain movements for blind and low vision audiences. They are embedded within the music, and they not only tell a story, but also explain the movement so that everyone can engage with the dance in different sensory experiences as well. So, without further ado, for our first piece, we call it P3 because we combined the exhibitions of pyramids, poses, and processions. In looking at the photo collection, mainly from Peter Cohen's collection, we saw this vision of a very idyllic Americana type of vibe. But for some of us that elicits negative feelings and feelings of not belonging and feelings of erasure, especially of the various civil rights and other equity work that was ongoing at the time. And so that's kind of what this piece does in kind of connecting all of those different themes. Our dancers, Dara, Kate, and Carmen, will bring that to life. Thank you. Dara, Kate, and Carmen start on the ground, their bodies forming a triangle. They rise, hugging their bodies into themselves, and back down. Legs rise again, forming a V, and back down. Waving hands and legs through space as if making sand angels. Their torsos rise. They hold each other's hands, swaying with the sea, very idyllic Americana image. Hands connect at center as each arms float outward and back in. Fingers touch, forming a peak as it rises and drops. Holding heel up as left arm circles out. Extends leg over to lay on their sides. Rise like a mermaid and down. Roll over to their seated triangle. Alternate arms flow out, ignoring the chilly feeling some of us get in this Americana vibe. Kate stands as Dara holds her waist as she leans. Carmen stands as right leg bends into her left, and her hands form a peak that open and close. Dara releases to hold Carmen and Kate's side, forming a three-person connected moment. Dara releases to just hold Carmen's waist as she leans. They pick up Dara, who steps back as the peak of a triangle. They jump 3 times in a spin, changing spots on their pyramid. Back at their original spot, Dara grabs in her hands while Carmen grabs Kate's, forming another triangle. Their knees bend in and spin them around to step out into a bigger triangle. Feet tap against the leg as the arm extends out. Hands push out as they arabesque, like diving into the ocean of Americanas. Right leg extend out and they slowly rotate with arms up. They deeply lunge right, then left. They lower to lay on the ground. Butt rises as they make a triangle with their body and lowers. Laying on side, hand rises up high and down. Rises again with upper leg sliding up to form a triangle. They lower as this restful image of 60s Americana juxtaposes all of the unrest of the era. Rising with hands on the ground into a triangle, Dara and Kate stand. Kate tries to find the meaning as she repeats one leg bending into a triangle as hands form a peak. Dara grabs her heel and pushes it forward towards Carmen. Dara lays on top of Carmen. Carmen, feeling the weight of this Americana image not meant for her, Kate then lays on top of Dara, forming a pyramid of pressure. Kate and Dara roll off. They walk in a circle with arms pushing in and out, contemplating their role. Hands open, then rotate around as it slides out to bent arm and right leg extends and back to stand. Their hands form a peak as it covers space, reminding of the erased identities in Peter Cohen's collection. Right arm circles around as hands cross. They push out against this vision of what Americana is across this space. They jump into a deep bend as right arm circles around to deeply lunge to the left and up. They step forward with arms reaching to include more voices and back leg bending up. They spin and pause with arms arched. Arms rest on top of each other. Alternate hand rest on chin as they pose like the folks in Peter Cohen's collection, but a bit more sassy. Hands repeatedly push down as they walk around the space and contemplate who is represented in this collection, and then this image of an ideal America cued on this music. They repeat. Arms break to side as legs bent, rises, and jumps into a bent arabesque to left, repeat to right. With the music, they step back as hand lowers to side like in a reverse procession. Opposite bent arm and leg rise and deeply step and repeat, thinking of the various forms of processions pictured in the collection but not protest. Right arm arcs up as left arm arcs in. They alternate. They spin toward the back. Stepping toward each other and away, Carmen steps, grabbing Kate and Dara's hand. She pushes the protest forward as Kate and Dara lean back. Hands release as they join this procession protest. Since protests are as American as apple pie, but not depicted in these American parades. Facing back, right arm extends out as they lunge to the side. Wrist and heels pedal back and forth. They spin out, facing front. Right arm rises as it extends out. It and right leg flick back these motions and step ahead anyway. Dara and Kate lean toward each other as Carmen stays centered with hands in a peak and leg in a triangle. Dara and Kate lean forward and back as Dara grabs Kate and slides her to face right. Carmen leans on the two of them as she replaces Kate and allows Dara to lean on her back and forth in this moment of community tapping in and out as needed to keep the work going forward. They all face left in a lunge. Dara leaning on Carmen and Kate behind them. They circle legs until Carmen is leaning on Kate. Wrist and heels pop as they find their footing. They all step forward like the parades in Peter's Cohen collection, but more diverse in movement and intention. Left leg flips to the side as they spin out and find their individual place in breaking this Americana image. Kate on the far left and Dara and Carmen in between on the far right. Kate runs into a leap. Dara runs into a leap with bent legs in and hands connected overhead. Carmen runs into a bent leap that rolls to the floor and stands. They take some time to find their place in this new Americana. One that does not erase identities, but emphasizes them. One that views protest for equity as comfortable and American as apple pie. One that looks at the unique poses throughout all cultures rather than just a select few. They all walk to each other. and form a triangle, facing each other, holding hands. They slowly lower to kneel, connected in this new Americana. Hello! This next piece is inspired by Tyler Mitchell, who has an untitled piece that features a variety of Black youth on a basketball court hula hooping. And it's really meant to emphasize this moment of just joy and euphoria where you don't have to worry about all of the external oppressions that exist, and we can just exist and be. So Cynthia's bringing some of that hula hoop energy, that recess energy that we all love to see. And on a couple of other notes too, feel free to move the chairs around or what have you as needed if you needed to get a better view. Totally understand, respect that. If you want to stand, that's cool too. No rules here. Also, feel free to laugh at the little jokes I put in audio descriptions. No pressure. Just, fine. Cynthia starts next to a hula hoop in our imagined basketball court. Arms form an arc as they circle around and down to a lunge up to the sun. She rises and hopscotches like back in the day, giving us black girl joy. She deeply bends with arms opening up and continues to step back and forth like hopscotching, embracing that recess energy. That school's out for the summer energy. As her wrists and hips rotate to the energy flowing underneath the concrete, arms circle overhead like a swing ball. Feet inch her across the floor as she drops into a plank and rests in child's pose. Roll around to grab the hula hoop and circle it up and onto her body. She stands holding the hula hoop, exploring its shape. She then hula hoops with arms in the air in glee, a moment of respite from everything around us. Hoop drops as she steps outside of it. She then starts taking big strides like a track runner, doing laps and jumping over barriers, what all BIPOC are doing every day, to be honest. Looking to the left, arms open up to the sun. Skip. And spin. Left leg reaches out as she spins torso, lowering down and up twice. Then leg rises, basking in her excellentness as it lowers and right wrist, then left wrist, rotates and flourishes until arm rises up. They lower as she flicks back repeatedly, these assumptions of black art only being equated with trauma. Right, then left wrist again, flow up. Cross wrist and continue to rotate and explore different directions as the ever-changing flow of people come in and out of this court. She flicks back the unwanted intruders from this special space. Right leg and left arm bend in and extend out, faces back. Arms balance in an arabesque with arms windmilling. Releases and pivots front. Arms bent down, lowers as she jumps with legs bent in and down. Right arm and leg reach toward us, inviting us into non-judgmental play. She skips an imaginary rope around the space. She begins hopscotching again, but this time across the space. Starts throwing her arm like shooting dice. She then plays hand clapping games like Right, Sally, right, wipe your teary eyes. Bouncing on heels and toes, she spins out and into the hula hoop. Hands make a fist and pull down as she jumps up. Hands on the ground and toes on the edge of the hula hoop. Hands and foot rise, as if trapped by the constraint of others, but Cynthia shines anyway. She steps like in college days, arms making diagonal shapes, feet stomping the ground, elbows slowly eroding this invisible barrier. Hand presses against this invisible barrier, and down, slicing through. Hands drop to ground, right leg kicks out to side and out of those constraints. She steps and pushes out in different directions, reclaiming her joy. Left arm and right leg bend in and extend out. Draw to the left, arms open up to swing, hands up, palms together and into a lunge. Right then left heel dig into the cement as arms open and close, facing back. Right heel digs into the ground as right hand pushes against things, taking away her joy. Foot rotates in to face leg as arms sway to the beat. She draws into stand. Right leg opens as she steps and left foot taps right knee. Left arm bends in as right arm bends up and alternates as she leans. Left arm swings around in a circle as right hand touches left shoulder and it circles around to reach left. She takes steps and a brief run to leap with bent legs as the majestic gazelle she is. Cynthia erupts in a moment of unbridled play. This moment of urban joy, black joy, and euphoria isn't ignoring or negating the very real oppressions of our lives. Instead of escaping from trauma through joy, we're building a world eradicated from it, and that is a joyous occasion. She takes one last time to hula hoop, laughing from the gleeful feelings we have when we get to just exist. The hoop drops. She slowly lowers in the hoop. In time with the last notes, arms make angled shapes from her stepping days. And then lowers to rest. The next piece is a solo by Kylie, and it is inspired by an image by Heather Esserson, who is depicted in this kind of covered image that is depicting this dancer who is uncomfortable with this distorted body images that can come, especially in classical ballet world. And so it's something that we actively work against every day, especially those of us who grew up in this world that have to continue to work against this. But it is kind of acknowledging the distorted body feelings that some of us have and still have, and still kind of existing in this world instead of running away from it. We're embracing our bodies and reclaiming it as a part of classical ballet and every other dance genre we want to be a part of. Kylie starts much like Heather's artwork, seated facing right, holding up one bent leg as the other left arm arcs up. Leg extends to kick over into a lunge facing left. Legs straighten out to sit. She starts crawling back from seeing distorted images of her body like in Heather Rasmussen's piece. Arms extend up twice and slowly lower. She slowly bends torso over and rises. Legs swing open to face right as she pushes up to reach left, then right. Eyes looking away. She pushes into a back bend with left arm reaching up, a moment of deeply stretching her bodily perception. She releases to rise into a lunge facing back. Feet come together, looking down as torso and bent arm rise, and release up. Arms swing around to face left. Arms wrap her waist in a moment of self-soothing, figuring out her own body image and use distorted dancer body ideals. Right leg bends in and extends behind to face right. Right arm covering her face, not yet ready to be seen. She starts to spin with both arms covering her face as she's not quite ready to share her full self with the dance world. Arms push out as she kicks away intrusive thoughts of not belonging. Facing back, she skips and hops, focusing on her ballet technique. She pirouettes and stretches arms out to find comfort while not having to face anyone. Arms circle around to lower. She steps into an arabesque, right, then left. Rotates to the front as arms open up and down, allowing for a moment of vulnerability. Right hand covers face as left arm bends in and alternates. Right hand swings around to lunge, facing right. Right, then left hand falls as she finds her place in this distorted industry. She spins on a diagonal, covering her face, protecting her piece. Pushing into a lunge, facing down. Leg kicks twice. On the third kick, she grabs her heel and rotates to face back. Arms up, right, then left hand slowly floats down like the slow dismantle of antiquated ballet. Graceful, yet forceful. Arms extend out as right leg circles around. Hands drop to the floor as right leg bends up. She walks her hands around to face front. She briefly rises and lowers back to walk her hands to the left. Not quite yet ready to really be seen, she stands as right arm leads her into a pirouette to face back. She daintily walks on a diagonal to the right, then left. She rotates to the front as arms rise and gently lower. Bent arabesque to the right and left. She bends over. Hand slides up arm and down. Rotates front. Rises to release arms to side. A breath then rotates to back and a side lunge to face right and left, figuring out how to move through these distorted images. Rotates to the front and bent arabesque again, with hands pushing against these distortions to make room for more authentic definition of dancer bodies. Faces left and bent left arm holds extended right arm with right heel popped and alternates. Facing right, balancing on her toes with left arm extended, catching glimpses of herself through the distortion, wondering if she fits. But dancing anyway. Facing front, she skips to the left, then right, one hand covers face, and other covers stomach. Torso lowers as she jumps. She stretches into a lunge with left arm up and right arm to chest. Arm lowers as both hands connect and push to the left. Leg slides in to lead her into a series of freeing turns. Spinning away from these distortions that are eroding before her, she pauses with left arm. Then right arm swings down. She slides into a deep bend with wrist crossed and arms open to the side. Feeling rooted in her power, she jumps and releases to stand. Leg kicks front, then behind, as she starts this waltz that continues to erode what we think of as a professional dancer body, a professional technique that only works for a small few instead of many. In a lunge, arms rise and open to new ideals. She continues to waltz, embracing how we can open up technique and body image in an affirming way. Arms open up again to the diverse voices that are flooding our ballet industry for good. She steps side to side in a way that reassures she matters in this space too. Hand covers face as right arm extends out, offering herself but not sure if all of her will be received. She sits on the floor with right arm extended up. Leg kicks over to face back. Right arm extends up as leg kicks over again. Hands grasp the floor as right. Leg kicks around and up, then all the way over into a back bend with arm reaching to us. Arm drops to then swing over as right leg swings over, standing, feet apart. Torso slowly rises as she takes in the energy of these distorted images cracking around her. She also assists in breaking them as left elbow and right leg push out as she rotates to each side until front. She spins with arms up, a bit bigger now. Skipping around the space, seeing these barriers begin to erode because of her and all the people fighting to make dance a space for everyone, a space for diverse bodies and minds to move, and the term professional dancer isn't limited to a neurotypical specific body. She pauses in front, allowing herself to be seen. Legs continue kicking these remaining stereotypes. She holds her right and left foot as she spins with one arm extended behind. Like Heather's original pose but elevated, bent right leg extends out and around into an arabesque. She spins like a dancer in a jewelry box to be admired by all. Alternate feet tap her ankle that lead her into a spin across the space, eagerly taking in the various bodies that are redefining what it means to be athletic, what it means to be a dancer. She pauses in the center with arms rising up and lowering down. She repeats, rising higher on her feet facing left then right. Wrist cross and float up as she daintily walks right, then left on her toes. To the cymbal, she high kicks right and allows that to lead her into a bent arabesque turn and repeats, feeling the freedom of these distorted images of who dancers can be fading away, feeling less restrictions and more freedom to move. Right, then left wrist, flourish, up. She deeply bends to sit and return to Heather's pose of a bent right leg covering face and left arm curved up, and releases. Also feel free to move chairs over there if it gives you better sight lines. Again, no rules here. The next piece is inspired by Dara Friedman's video that is projecting out, that shows all of these different dancers and pedestrians just moving through the street, and how we thought about just the mix of dance and pedestrian movement and just kind of the energy that flows through the city, and how that in and of itself is enough to make one move, and is danced by our dancer, Dara. So, enjoy. To the cymbal, Dara runs on a diagonal in each direction, bending and extending leg out into an arabesque as she keeps up with the chaotic city pace. It is chaotic. Pauses and center as arms and legs extend and contract in quickly, an air of superhuman vibes, since it does take Wonder Woman strength to push yourself onto a crowded T. Hops and extends left and right leg to side. Leg swings back and forward to turn as arms reach down to grab bent left leg up as bent arms are outside and extend out. Slowly rotates to side in an arabesque and leads down and around to spin. Hops and extends left, then right, as arms extend in opposite directions like a train signal. She elbows her way through pedestrians gently, obviously, pauses in center to start walking. Arms swing up and side as Dara leans left, then right. Pushes into an arabesque with hands wrapped up. They extend as she bends deeper into that balance, releases to face back. She starts exploring the urban canvas around her, wondering what stories lie behind the many faces she encounters. She leans back, arms extending up and out, taking in the sun. Spins to face front, hands play along to the invisible moving piano key. She slowly spins with a bent leg behind her and left bent arm in. She starts skipping around like hopping over broken sidewalk and puddles, swaying around the space as arms extend and contract. Right hand slowly falls and rises like debris down the street. Wrist crossed and open as arms extend out. She slowly bends and reaches to the right and down, scooping hands up to the left as she wearies in this commute. Stands with arms up, then jumps down to the floor as she quickly rises, then falls back down, sliding on her back. She rolls to her feet while sliding legs in front of her and sliding to her knees to stand. Facing back, arms windmill to face front. They swing side to side like air dancers, the kind of car dealerships, as it deflates. She places each side with right arm thins end and out as left leg extends side, finding her own rhythm. She steps forward as bent elbows rise and left leg swings back and forth to step, pushing the knee down to force her to keep moving. She walks backwards, arms swinging at her side. She does high kicks and walks in an arc to left until she starts walking and hopping in a circle around the stage as arms cross in and out, making her way throughout the city's twists and turns, tapping into the energy beating down the street. She takes a moment to breathe towards the back as feet pedal. She takes slow, big steps as upper body rises and falls as she finds the lows after the highs of city living. Pushing her body through so many spaces and faces, standing at back, she rolls to the ground and up. She spins out, dragging her foot behind, reaching back. Right elbow and knee connect as she rotates front to release in a lunge and up. She resumes skipping around the concrete pitfalls, taking notice of familiar faces around her. She jumps from a bend as right arm circles overhead. Arms rise as left foot taps right knee and crosses over as arms release. They slowly rise to the side as the torso rises and back down. Leg and torso swing back and forth as she regains energy from the familiar faces that became community around her. She pulls up her pants and prepares to give and receive support from all the communities she's a part of in this beautiful metropolis, minus the occasional gum stuck tissue, the hairdresser that helped her through milestones, the friends that have helped her fix makeup while balancing on the bus. Hands stretch out and point wise like a compass as all have helped her find her way in this terrain. Left hand releases overhead and back to rest on right hand. It rests on hips. With drums, hands pat down legs into a plank and back up to stand. Right leg kicks as right arm and torso rise, up, then back down to swing and face back. Leg and torso rock back and forth to spin and release. She hops and extends limbs with more vigor, leaning against a corner wall while she balances, then rolls to the ground and up. She rolls on her back with the legs extended to the side, then back up to stand. She walks and fiercely kicks, which leads to a leap, swaying left to right. She spins with one leg straight up like a compass, dizzying excitement of exploring even more of her city. She slides to the ground into a child's pose, this childlike hope that superheroes are among us. She slowly rolls out to stand with adult-like wisdom, knowing those superheroes are the pedestrians all around us. Hands pressed together above head as it lowers down head and releases hands to their sides, facing back. Walking backwards as hands push out. Leg kicks out forward and swings around to stand. She steps in various directions and heights as a woman who knows a community is behind her. She jumps into a deep arabesque, she rises to then catch her breath and walk around the space. She bends her leg into an arabesque with arms opening wide, larger than before, more inviting for others looking for more community beyond the rat race, allowing for anonymity, chosen family, and everything in between. To the music, she skips side to side as arms push out and in, finding joy in the urban sounds that blend into symphony. She pauses, facing back. To the notes, she etches her name and story in this concrete, remaining constant in a city that ever changes. She rotates to face front. She steps slowly, pushing her energy out into the city to add to this collective modern music. With the cymbals, she starts running back and forth. Gotta stay ready for new detours. Might as well throw in the Boston Marathon at that pace. Or just running to decades for the usual. Torso lowers as she starts to rest. Dara lowers to the ground, soon to be reanimated from the pulsing energy beneath the street. Leg swings back and forth like a metronome until she finds her rhythm again. She rests. The next piece is inspired by Singaningundi's performance piece. In it, she uses stockings to represent the kind of restrictions placed on women, as well as restrictions in dance. But as a Black dancer who didn't feel as though dance could be for her at the time, I can relate. I wanted to dig a little deeper, and because she wasn't pictured in the performance piece, and so I wanted to think about what it is as we as narrators take ourselves out of the story, but then put ourselves back in and find a sense of belonging in that sense, and a sense of connectedness, and also the intersectionality that she faced, not only sexism and racism in the dance world and artistry overall, and so kind of taking that theme and letting Cynthia and Kate kind of play with those ideas with stockings as we kind of consider how these restrictions can affect us in different ways, but how we can work together equally to dismantle. Kate starts on the floor with Cynthia seated in a chair facing back. Kate slowly rises into a back bend while reaching up towards a hopeful future. Legs kick around until seated with both legs extended out in front. While pulling at the stockings attaching her to the chair, stocking snaps as she rocks back and forth. She rotates on her knees, crawling back, hoping for the stocking to break. It does not. She sits. Her right arm and leg rise as she rotates on her bum. Slowly rotating out of the confines of these stockings, she resorts to pulling out the stockings from her waist. They snap back into place unbothered, arms extend on a diagonal as one arm bends in down and one bends up. She then scooches daintily, of course, until facing right corner. She lays on side as hand extends underneath stocking, pushing her into a ball. She then rolls backwards to face Cynthia, quiet narrator of this piece. They acknowledge each other. They stand, Cynthia facing back, Kate still attached, facing front. They deeply bend with arms extending out. While Kate drops to a plank and pedals never going anywhere, Cynthia takes the stocking from underneath the chair and moves it around and behind her. Cynthia alternates arms, reaching up in lunge, seeing how weary Kate is getting. She unties the stockings from her waist. Kate slides away in a moment of relief. Cynthia rolls to stand behind a seated Kate, resting her hands on Kate's shoulders to regain authority without strain. They turn their head in different directions. Cynthia opens Kate's arms to her side as she reaches back for the stockings to restrict Kate into her place. Cynthia carefully but forcefully ties Kate's waist in reflection of her own feelings of restriction and sexism and body negativity. Their alternate arms extend on a diagonal, forming an X shape. Kate's arms open up, reaching for ability to move beyond these labels of what a dancer body, woman body, postpartum body, etc. is. Cynthia pulls the stocking away as Kate gets a chance to breathe. They both lay on the floor in opposite directions. Legs swings around to meet each other's gaze in a split. They plank looking at each other and back down. Torso and arms rise, mirroring each other. As Kate is actually a symbol for the inner thoughts Cynthia is having about herself, putting herself out of the narrative and using art to process externally. Doing so, she walks towards Kate and ties the stockings to her wrist. Carefully and tightly, moving one arm bent down and one arm bent up. Pulling away, they both lean back at this tension. Alternate arms bend in and extend out on a diagonal. With Kate testing the resistance of these suffocating stockings, Cynthia, unrestricted, moves to the left of Kate as their arms connect and extend on a diagonal. They rotate forward until Cynthia joins Kate on her knees and spin on their knees. They lean to a side plank with heads almost connecting. They lower his legs and kick around to face back. Cynthia rises and manipulates Kate's arm, bent down. She releases one wrist from the stocking's restraint. As Kate tries to slide away, but Cynthia places the other stocking in underneath the chair. Kate reaches up. She retightens the restraint, skipping over the stretched stocking. Holding her head tenderly, Kate lowers in the embrace. Heads move alternate directions. Cynthia's arms push out over, directing Kate's legs to straighten. Both arms rise as they scoot to the left, more connected in unison. Arms rotate as Kate spins closer to the chair. Cynthia arabesques and grabs another pair of stockings from the chair. She deeply bends as Kate struggles under these confines. Cynthia delicately ties another pair of stockings to the previous pair. She stretches the other end as she majestically steps, finding her way back into the narrative. They both walk or slide to opposite left corners, looking outward, then inward, of their inner monologue deepening. Reaching up and down as Kate stands, their right hand slowly falling. Both reach in and switch the stockings they're holding. Kate skips over Cynthia's stocking in a moment of ecstatic glee. Cynthia follows until they both face opposite corner and the right. The stockings form the triangle between dancers and chair, as the stockings are intersectional, representing the additional layer that Cynthia faces in racism. Yes, I made a literal representation of intersectionality in this, and I have no regrets. Standing out, they breathe, realizing even with these overlapping tensions, there's still ways to make magic. Kate slides underneath Cynthia's stocking as Cynthia skips forward. Kate flipping over chair. Cynthia in a lunge, standing in opposite corners to the left with more self-assuredness. Cynthia takes lunges underneath Kate's stocking. Kate loosely holding onto her stocking moves towards the right. They move towards each other as they find healing and not restriction in each other. Cynthia alternates arms forward as she grandly shows us her full self with a strong pose. Kate moving more fluidly and freely as Cynthia starts to untangle these stockings. Both finding overarching joy in what it means to take ownership of our own narratives and resist conditions that restrict us. Standing side by side, they put on the stockings. Owning their minds and bodies, they force these stockings, aka societal restrictions, to stretch to include them and others. My favorite part was timing how fast they could put on stockings. Oh, they're annoyed, but they love me. So the final piece of the evening is a collection of images from the Downstream exhibit. It includes references to images of T.D. Harris, of a child drinking from a segregated fountain, to modern day depictions of a video from Alison Hamilton that flows through this journey that is a waterway that was connected from slavery and cotton, to images of Paul D'Amato of people breaking open fire hydrants and enjoying water. And it's really thinking about the impacts of the intersections of climate justice and disability justice and environmental racism as well, since they're all interconnected. It's also a personal piece for me as well, as I am originally from Mississippi and I have relatives that still don't have access to clean water. So until we have these resources, until public infrastructure can support true, equitable access to clean water for all, we will continue to make this work. And this is actually a solo by me, so I'm actually going to go change over there, and I'll be back in a few. Feel free, as I'm changing, to rearrange yourself. Don't want you to miss my solo. Or to check out our merch table in the back, where we have books inside their studio, where I and other deaf and disabled artists are featured, as well as our dope t-shirts and stickers. So, be back in a few. And we're going to get settled back in now. Lovely. Give it a couple more minutes for folks just trailing in. But I do want to add that this piece is actually just kind of my musing. It's more of generating the text first and letting the movement flow from that. So it'll be a little bit more narrative than movement description. And I hope you enjoy. Drip, 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 drip. Like water, I slowly flow in and out of a bent arabesque. Noting the troubled history my communities have had with accessing water. Thinking of Paul D'Amato's Girl in Rain picture, where those of us in urban, diverse areas have to seek water wherever we can by breaking fire hydrants or just in any way possible because of this lack of accessibility. Deeply bending to the ground, our public infrastructure really doesn't allow us to have a comfortable life. And it's been this way for a while. Hands plucking, arms flowing and exploring the space. Charles Harris image depicting segregation and the lack of water access. Planking and bending in and out. Unlike the idyllic Americana you might see, our communities were experiencing much different in our lack of access to beaches and water fountains and other spaces that deemed us lesser. This question of who's had access to water has been decades ongoing and getting worse. Rising from the floor, I start to explore the troubled history as I spin and lunge and pause across the space. Meg Harris's sculpture of discarded items and thinking of how these goods remain and how our waste has wasted our planet. Climate justice and disability justice actually intersect in the ways that environmental harm can cause these long-lasting illnesses, like these long-lasting goods in Meg Harris's sculpture. I stand and drop one crutch, allowing one hand to pluck and freely flow the space, playing the invisible piano. The intent of the Downstream exhibition is thinking of how our economic and natural worlds are colliding, but they are colliding for the best. Swinging back, pushing out and down, in, right arm, bends in and out. Other crutch drops as wrist cross and extend out against this narrative that all of our communities are suffering when some are suffering even more. I think of Allison Hamilton's video of how that camera shows the winding roots of the county that was used for slavery and cotton. As a woman from Mississippi, I think of those roots often, especially now, as my community in Jackson and others, my relatives can't access clean water. Other Black and brown communities can't access clean water across the country. It's devastating. It's haunting. Racism, climate change, disability justice, and other systems of oppression are connecting. So what are we doing about it? We resist. Pushing out into a Ben Arabesque spin, pushing out into a Ben Arabesque spin, grabbing one crutch to pirouette, reaching up to the sun, slowly bending down, falling to knees on the floor, hands are grappling with the history of water and how it connects to all of my identities, how it connects to others' identities, how it's used as a tool of oppression, how it's essential for life. Thank you so much. Thank you to this wonderful museum for allowing us to activate their exhibits. Feel free to follow Ability Sans Boston. We have a full season, including our next show in April 21st and 22nd in Cambridge, honoring BIPOC and deaf and disabled artists and activists, as well as pushing some legislation on the Mass State floor. Oh, sorry, I'm out of breath. Thank you all. Have a good night.